Well, I think what I would say is that there's been a lot of political upheaval. We've changed we've changed prime ministers twice in 3 months. Obviously, that's going to stall negotiations when there's a lot of political instability. But also, there have been elections in India as well, and that means that people's priorities here have been elsewhere.
I want to understand how Mr. Sunak's approach to these negotiations is different from his predecessors because he recently said that he won't compromise quality for speed. Uh, does that mean that the quality of negotiations under his predecessors was not up to the mark?
So that's one of the things which I emphasised to the Prime Minister and which I asked him for, and it was really around deadlines. So I don't believe that just picking a deadline is the best way to conduct a negotiation. It's the substance of the deal, it's the quality of what we're discussing, rather than rushing to get a deal.
So the deadline was, in fact, Diwali, and that did not happen.
The deadline to conclude the majority of talks is what was agreed, but many people assumed that that was a deadline to sign the agreement. Obviously, as a new Secretary of State only coming in September, I wasn't going to rush to sign just because a deadline had been created by the previous Prime Minister.
You know, there are 26 chapters to this free trade agreement we've understood. How many of those are completed or are at least near completion? Because in your first question, you did say that a majority of those talks had been completed.
Yes, that's right. And so the majority of things is not the number of chapters, it's what is in the chapters. And I believe that we had closed 16 chapters. I cannot remember off the top of my head. But for me, it's not really about the specific chapters, it's about the issues within them.
Is the UK willing to yield on India's demand for a more liberalized student visa and immigration regime?
Well, the student visas are something that the Home Secretary is looking at. We have a points-based immigration system. We want people from India to come to the UK, and we want people from the UK to go to India as well. But like all deals, it has to be something that is mutually beneficial for both countries.
Are these part of the FTA negotiations?
Student visas are not, they're not part of the FTA negotiations. Just to be clear again, mobility is really around business visas, temporary entry, and the criteria that comes around that. Thank you.